Welcome back to the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Raymond Wu. In this final segment, we're going to continue our discussion with Tom, Mr. Lin Shu-Yu, about his experience as a director and a writer for a film production in Taiwan. Tom, I know this movie, Winds of September, it was first, showing the movies in movie theaters in Taiwan in, the summertime.
Yes.
But it had a second run at the theater in September.
It did,
and how did you think the marketing, of the movie, of the film itself, taught you in terms of how the moviegoers in Taiwan liked or didn't like, and how would you use that experience as a, as a reference point for your future productions?
Well, I mean, at the beginning, when we were promoting this movie, I mean, we had very, very limited funding to do the promotion, and because that this was pre-Cape Number 7.
Yes,
this was pre-Cape Number 7 era, and so not a lot of people believed in Taiwanese cinema. Nobody thought Taiwanese movies could make any money, and so we had very little money to start with. And of course, when you have very little money, what you do is you do the whole campus tour thing, like everybody else. And so, but luckily, I guess, because our film is a coming-of-age high school movie, and so our subject matter was able to connect with the campuses that we actually
emotional core with
that we visited. And so that that was a good thing. But I don't know in the future. I mean, because we are seeing that campuses actually are seeing too many directors these days. Like everybody does a campus tour. And so it doesn't matter who comes, nobody cares anymore in the campus. Everybody just stays on their internet. And but one thing that I've learned, that's actually very true, and I think I forget, I'm quoting some Hong Kong producer. He says, there's it's very interesting. He says there are 10 reasons. Or 10 elements that makes a box office selling movie. One is your whole campaign appeal, your 气势. You have to look big first.
That's right.
And then 2 is your actors. And then 3 is whatever. And nowhere on the 10 is your script. And nowhere on the 10 is your director. It doesn't really matter. So I mean, promoting, of course, I mean, it's a whole different ballpark from filmmaking.
Precisely.
And so what I learned that is very true is leave it to the professionals.
But this movie itself is sort of like your baby.
It is, of course.
Semi-autobiography, things. And so you must be very careful in terms of how you want this movie to be marketed. And also the fact is you're not only the director, you're also the writer. And sometimes you have to play the role of the producer as well as to how the movie is perceived by the the market in Taiwan. So did you find that different roles, the different caps you have to wear, a little difficult for somebody who's doing the feature film for the first time?
Well, it's not difficult, but then it's just exhausting. I think it goes back to a very old cliche, but then like honesty is the best policy. I just try to be honest with the audience. I try to be honest either in my work or either how I'm promoting the movie, because this is something very heartfelt with me, and it's a very personal project, and so I'm sharing it as truthfully as possible. And one thing with the Taiwanese audience is, well, the Taiwanese in general, we're very emotional, sentimental people.
Yes, indeed.
So to a very emotional, sentimental audience, I think the only way is to actually be truthful to them.
But in the process, I know this is not the first production that you've done. You've done many other shorter projects before, but this is the first feature, film. And what do you think, as a filmmaker, that the aspects or the different areas of the film community here that can be improved to make the environment more friendly and more open to creative ideas and projects?
I think a couple of things. One thing is we as filmmakers, we should stop being so selfish. That is one thing. We have to stop being selfish with our creation. Selfish in the fact that Because there are no rules. Okay. So let's just take any ordinary production day. Because there are no rules, and so some directors, they push their crew to work 18, 20, 22 hours a day, and have like 3-hour rest, and then the next, after 3 hours, okay, we're good to go. It's keep on shooting. Just trying to milk that cow as much as possible. Just get all the milk. That's a very selfish act. I mean, because you're paying the same amount of money, but then you're like, well, I want to work overtime.
Yes.
Nobody's going to sue me.
No.
There are no unions.
That's right.
There are
no rules.
There are no rules. Nobody's protecting them. Why don't I shoot more? If I could shoot more, I'll shoot more.
Okay.
You have that kind of mentality, and then you have the crew going, well, I'm working so hard and I'm getting so little pay.
Exhausted.
And at the end, if there are any awards, it's you going on stage getting the award. And if there are any profits, it's the producers getting all the profits. What did they get? What did the crew get? They don't get anything.
Regular pay.
They just get their regular pay. And their regular pay is a very, very low regular pay. And so like every project that I work on, I really, really push the producer, or I really push the director. I really push for our crew to actually have a decent working hour.
Okay.
To actually, be able to have, 8-hour rest before,
the production starts again.
Before the production starts again. These things, I mean, these are things that we as filmmakers that we could do.
Okay.
To actually try to make our own environment a little more healthy.
That's right.
Like with Winds of September, I mean, I could have shot so much more if I went over.
You chose not to.
But but I chose not to because I started working as production assistants and whatever, and then I worked up the food chain, and I know what it's like to be down there, and I know what it's like to get milked for nothing.
No. So
we try, right now, the younger generation of filmmakers, we're trying to give our workers an okay working environment. That's what we could start with.
Okay.
Not being so
stop
selfish.
Being selfish.
Yeah, stop being selfish with our productions.
What's the second point?
And the second point is because we need to have long-term goals.
Okay.
We really need long-term goals. And this is not just us in general, but also the government.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would you recommend the government do?
Well, the government, for a start, they could actually start to set some rules and keep them there for a couple years.
Yes.
Every year, the rules are changing, and the way they're supporting film is changing.
Yes.
And we're not seeing an effect.
Yes.
We don't see what we've accomplished. Nothing is. What is that called?
Setting stone, the things.
Yeah, nothing is building up. I mean, everything is broken down again. Yeah, it's not accumulating. Exactly. Things aren't accumulating. And because everything, I think, especially with the government's view on Taiwanese cinema, is very nearsighted. That's one thing that could be changed.
Okay. Have a more long-term perspective.
Yeah, having a long-term perspective and having long-term goals and rules and regulations.
There's no denying the fact that you're one of the more prominent and promising, young directors in Taiwan. And then also compare with the older generations of directors, including, 30, 40 years ago, like Mr. Li Xing, Mr. Li Hanxiang, and more recently, of course, Mr. An Li, who's, of course, a Taiwan product, but also, like your experience, you got his film training in the States. What would you like to see that in your generation of filmmakers will be able to lead the Taiwan film community in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't really think I could lead anything. I don't think we could lead anything. But
collectively?
Collectively, I think the only way, this is what I've sort of come to terms with. The only way to actually make a good movie is to believe in the project. And
to be committed to it.
To be committed to it. And it takes a certain kind of person to be committed to a certain kind of project.
Of course.
And so right now what we're seeing, I think with the whole Cape No. 7, Winds of September, and ORZ Boys, but because these three are the most talked about films in 2008, what we're seeing is a collective group of people that grew up sort of around the same time.
Yes.
And now we're getting our shot to make our movie.
Yeah, so the future is wide open.
The future exactly is wide open because new generation are going to come and they're going to have their own sensibility of what a good movie is, and they'll try and do that. And the only thing the only kind of suggestion that I could give is is for filmmakers to be patient.
Yes.
And to be.
That's a very good suggestion. Yes.
To be patient and to get yourself as ready as possible.
Yeah.
When the opportunity comes to do your own production.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I could say.
Yeah.
Because that's how, we came about. I mean, me and Wei Dese and Yang Yazi. I mean,
others.
We've been working. This is our first film, of course, but we've been working in the industry for
for quite some time.
Yeah, Xiaowei has been here for 10 years. Yazi has been here for
6 years?
8, and I've been here for 6. You know, we've been working a long time before we actually got our shot to prove ourselves.
All right, good.
And when you prove yourself, the only way to do it is to actually
continue doing it.
Yeah, to make something that you believe is a very good movie. That's the only way. You can't fake it.
No.
You can't give the same amount of money to another director and say, make Cape number 7, if that person doesn't believe in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Well, thank you very much, Tom. I want to again congratulate you on winning the Golden Horse.
Thank you.
I want to also wish you the very best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to many more years like we're seeing in 2008 for the Taiwan film community.
I hope so.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time on Macroview Television. Thank you.